Last week, I headed to the airport and picked up one of my dearest friends, Lachey. She visited me from Texas, and I was so excited to introduce her to my favorite local national park, Yosemite. First, we stopped in McFarland, which is about halfway to Yosemite and is where the movie McFarland, USA was inspired from. This little farm town has such a rich history, and I'm a big fan of the movie, and so it was a must and perfectly broke up our long drive to Yosemite. The views between McFarland and Yosemite were breathtaking. I mean, just look at the rolling hills and the lakes. It was such a breath of fresh air to get into open land where there's no buildings and just these beautiful pastures and wildlife. This was across from our Airbnb where we stayed, and almost every morning and evening we saw deer grazing in the fields with the mist rising, tall pine trees, these cute little dogs that joined us for a walk in the evenings, and it was just such a perfect place to rest between our full day adventures in Yosemite. We set up our hammocks and enjoyed the sunset, enjoyed all the sounds of nature, the wind rustling through all the pine trees, and the sun just beaming through the forest. It was absolutely breathtaking, but we ended up calling it quits because the mosquitoes were just too much. This Airbnb was nothing fancy, but it had everything we needed: a full kitchen, a comfy couch for me to sleep on, and a comfy bed for Lachey to sleep on, a full bathroom, and yeah, just everything we needed. It was exactly 40 minutes from the gate entrance and saved us hundreds of dollars, which is obviously a bonus.
Smokey the Bear says, put out your fire.
It's a bear!
It's a bear.
You can't train a bear!
Once you got past the gate, it was about another 30-minute drive down into the valley itself, which was absolutely stunning. I mean, just look at the views, and I just couldn't get over how perfectly clear the weather was that day. We drove by a little waterfall immediately upon entering, which was just a reminder of how much I love this park.
Hey Lachey, you want to learn a fun fact about this trail?
I don't know what.
It's where the #1 deaths happen in Yosemite. Aren't you so excited?
If it's my time, it's my time.
So just some safety tips. Don't approach the slippery rocks by the river,
Okay.
because that's where most people fall in and get swept away in the current.
Oh, that makes sense.
Don't bend down to touch the water. We
Like I
already know
did
it's
earlier?
cold. Yes. You know it's cold. Why do you need to test it out? Stay away from the rocks and stay away from the water.
Got it, Mom.
No deaths today, my friend.
Ready?
Oh my god.
Got it.
It's scary. I really don't know how to get down now. I'm not even that high, but I feel like I'm on a glacier.
Our first trail was the Vernal Falls Trail. It is definitely a moderate trail. There are some really dangerous parts, and it's actually, like I said, where the #1 death tolls happen. But just look at the rainbows. We could not get over how many rainbows were on this hike. You hike right up to the waterfall, which again is kind of dangerous and slippery, but just make sure you take your time, walk down the stairs carefully, use the side rails, stay away from the edge, and you'll be fine. There was so much wildlife, including these adorable little squirrels that would come right up to your hand looking for food, but just a friendly reminder, you're not supposed to feed the wildlife. Let the wildlife stay wild.
Oh!
Next, we hiked the Cook's Meadows Loop Trail, which wasn't technically on the map, but I had found it on a blog and followed the instructions. You essentially hike around a bike trail next to this beautiful river where there's also open meadows, and you go across the swinging bridge. Don't jump off the bridge like this. It is against the rules, but people were doing it. Just don't do it. It's dangerous. The current's fast. Look how fast he starts going once he hits the water. I, however, did a cold plunge, which is allowed, and you can swim in the river. We came across several artists who were painting landscape, which I just have so much respect for. It was so therapeutic sitting there watching them paint. You get these wide open views of the Horsetail Falls and the open meadows. The flowers were still in bloom. Everything was so green. I cannot recommend this hike enough. It's very peaceful. It's flat. Most of the trail is paved and easy for beginner hikers, and there's really good photo ops like this one of Half Dome, and you get to see the cute little chapel. We actually worshiped at this chapel on Sunday morning. They meet every Sunday, 2 different services. It's 145 years old, so much history. It's actually the oldest standing building at Yosemite. I didn't know I still had the camera recording after recording the church bells, but I'm actually really glad I caught that sweet moment on camera. We spent our last day at Yosemite visiting the Mariposa Grove of giant sequoias. As you can see, it's a beautiful forest of redwood trees. We specifically wanted to hike to the Grizzly Giant, which is a tree that's about 1,500 to 2,500 years old and stands over 200 feet tall with branches that have diameters of 7 feet. This thing was crazy, and the hike to it was so peaceful and beautiful. Here it is. Look how huge this massive tree is. As much as I enjoyed all the wildlife on this trip, including this precious deer that came right up to us, I was so excited to get home and see my little wild animal, Mila. But she was not having it because I had a hat on, and she is so terrified of hats, so she wouldn't even say hello to me. It's whatever. We ended our trip together at the beach, my favorite local beach, Newport, where we soaked in some sun. I caught some waves on the boogie board, tried to get Lachey in the water with me, but she said absolutely not, it's whatever. But it was just the perfect relaxing day after a long week of hiking, and you already know that I had to take her to my absolute favorite local diner, Ruby's. This isn't just any location, it's the original location, opened in 1988. It was such a peaceful day, and we just thoroughly enjoyed reflecting on our trip, talking about our favorite moments, and again, just being totally surrounded by nature. That is one of my favorite parts about being a local in Southern California, is the endless opportunities to enjoy God's creation all around us. Thanks so much. I hope you tune in again for more adventures. And just remember, I love you, my little locals. Bye.